This podcast is a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to find out more. Hoot hoot, it's Harry Potter and the Boys Outpost Edition!
Hello, Hamoras, everyone. Welcome to the first Outpost episode for Season 3 of the podcast. Wow. How bloody great has this book been so far, if you're up to date? Great to have you here. What have we had so far? We, of course, the first chapter, hilarious. That was the apology chapter from the author, or from the narrator, I suppose. Chapter 2, we had Mr. Charger and clownish Kim Jiri heading to Azkaban prison. Chapter 3, a hoggy-warty holiday. Chapter 4, we met the boys for the first time of this book. Chapter 5, Derek gets disowned by his family. Chapter 6 coming up, we have recorded, which is good. Send in any highlights. I know people seem to be really enjoying it so far, and it's a bit slower moving than the last few books, but it is very exciting. And we have a bunch of little owls from the Discord. If you want to be part of the Discord, just send me a message. It's just basically a big group chat, and there's a whole channel devoted to Harry Potter and the Boys where you can talk about it with other fans of the pod. Lazar from over in the Discord says, I'm going to make a wild prediction and guess this book title will be less relevant than Book 2's title. Of course, Book 2, the Team Wizard Tournament. The Team Wizard Tournament ended up not really featuring very much in the book. So we'll have to see for the commentors from Azkaban. We have, Ganonbort, loyal fan, came to the live show, says, the book intro is very a series of unfortunate events. I love how even the book has convinced itself that Harry is just dealing with trauma and forgets about the Obliviate storyline. Yeah, in book 1, I think Harry did get hit by an Obliviate spell. Definitely series of unfortunate events. Those books were really big at the same time as Harry Potter. If you haven't read them, they're pretty good. They're nowhere near as good as Harry Potter, but they have what I really liked about them growing up, and I only read a few of them growing up, and then later, when I was an adult, I went back to actually read the full series, which was probably a mistake because it was disappointing in the end. But, you know, it's written by a guy who, basically, it's written by a man named Daniel Handler, who's almost like a satirist or comedian. And he writes he writes under the pen name Lemony Snicket. But sort of the funny part about it is that Lemony Snicket becomes a character in the book. So the narrator of the book, Lemony Snicket, if you read them, I think you will see a similarity between this book and Harry Potter and the Boys, because yeah, the narrator becomes a character, and the narrator, the way it's written is very like someone speaking to you, the same way that Harry Potter and the Boys is. So I think that's a very on point kind of pick up there from Ganonbort. But yeah, and then as the series continues, the series of unfortunate events, the characters start to find out about Lemony Snicket, and that Lemony Snicket was there the whole time, and et cetera, which is a really interesting kind of technique, I guess. Of course, I think in chapter 2, me and Sam had the great idea of that "What I've Done" joke, the Linkin Park song. Lazar then says, since the later step, I can't get rid of what I've done from my head. Such a good bit. And Ganonbort says, such a good bit. It's like being on Tumblr without having to be on Tumblr. We also asked the question, why don't they use truth serum in trials? To which Ganonbort said, because J.K. Rowling was throwing around concepts and not reckoning with the in-universe consequences. That's why she destroyed all of the time turners. Did get a email, Radio Mike Pod. No, this was from my website, radiomike.com.au. Jump on the contact form and send an email in. From Jess Regan, possibly a new listener. Hi Mike, I'm a latecomer to the pod, so I'm still catching up. I've been binge listening while travelling for work and struggling to hide my laughter. Classic. I had one thing I wanted to bring up, unless Amy already sent an owl, and I'm just not caught up enough on the owl posts. A while back, you and Sam discussed why Ron didn't just jump off the horse in the first movie, but that's a movie memory. That's not how it happens in the books. Ron is the knight in the books, so the queen attacks him rather than the horse. So in the book, Ron actually does sacrifice himself. It's just another way the movie downplays Ron and makes him look like a useless sidekick and an idiotus. Anyway, love the pod. Very impressive your 13-year-old self had so much time and creativity to write this series. Thank you. Thank you very, very much for that, Jess. And yeah, did get swamped by comments on the TikTok. Because the thing about TikTok comments is, if you're wrong in a TikTok, everyone will tell you in the comments. You'll find out very quickly. So yes, I did in fact know that, but thank you for clearing up there, Jess. Really appreciate it. We do have one from Siobhan. Oh, and this is another TikTok one that a lot of people... We got a few from Siobhan, but Sam brought up the Western Force rugby team signing a player called Harry Potter. Sorry, we said it was soccer, and I just assumed it was like a UK team. It's actually the Western Force in Perth, Australia, or in Western Australia, and it's rugby, not soccer. A lot of people cleared that up, including the club itself on Twitter, who responded. I post some of my clips on Twitter when I make clips from this show, and the Western Force club actually responded and they said something actually quite funny. Oh yeah, I said, sorry, Western Force, we've had it confirmed many times on TikTok that you guys are a rugby team, to which Western Force says, we're cool, don't let the muggles get you down. So thank you, Western Force, for that. And Siobhan also says, poo pouch is brilliant. Between schizophrenia and poo pouch, HPA2B is revolutionizing the medical dictionary. Yeah, forgot about a lot of people writing in about schizophrenia, the fictional disease that Mr. Charger came up with in the second book, the second chapter. And poo pouch, I do remember when Derek's dad pulls something out of his bum, which sort of always reminds me of Bender from Futurama, who has like the little kind of compartment on his chest, and he always opens it, and there's just infinite amount of stuff in there. Really like that. What else do we have here? Oren sent in a new season's resolution, which we asked for on the first episode. My new season's resolution for you is to put the full audio from the Patreon videos into the audio RSS feed. I subscribe to the Patreon, but I am always doing something else when I listen to it, so video format just doesn't work for me. Just a thought. Right now, maybe too much effort, but maybe something to think about in the future when you have more subscribers. Thank you, Oren. I will consider doing that. And if you could consider, you, the listeners, two things: patreon.com/Harry Potter and the Boys. Just give as much as you can. We're an independent podcast here at Radio Mike Productions. We do not have the backing of a big organization, so we need all the monetary support we can get. So thank you very much to all of the Patreon supporters. Please jump on, even for just a few months. You do get full videos of the podcast, so if you want to see me and Sam laughing, that would be great. And the other thing is, if you are on Spotify listening right now, which I know many of you are, jump on and rate this podcast 5 stars. It really helps kind of push the podcast up and get people to see the listenership of the podcast. So please do that. Oren also says, and I think this is to do with the Boxley Washington, the Minister for Magic now, who had a scandal with a bunch of prostitutes. He said, it's 50 years in the future. I think Boxley Washington needs to get with the times and call them sex workers. Yeah, that is definitely true. Thanks, Oren. The other day, I was driving around Melbourne and I saw a sign that featured the word quint. Posted it on my story, of course, and JJ sent in, how quintingly quintitious, because quinting is like a word that I clearly made up at some point and use it frequently in this book. One in from Jamie, which is JJ. That was on Insta. This is an email owl. Hooty hoo, Mike and Sam. Thank you for the owl-themed intro, JJ. Congrats on the stellar start to the 3rd book. So much mystery and intrigue. I fear this owl might be heading into Amy territory, and I don't want to step on any toes, but I do have some knowledge for you. Totally fine, and from meeting Amy, I know she would have no issue with anybody sending in Amy-themed messages. In Chapter 4, you were speculating on the relationship between Lockie Lockhart and Gemini Jones, and Sam asked if there was a Quidditch player named Jones. He was right. Gwenog Jones was the captain of the Holyhead Harpies Quidditch team. We hear about her in Half-Blood Prince at Slughorn's house when he is bragging about his former Slug Club members. Gwenog and Gilderoy are 4 years apart, so they would have been at Hogwarts together. Very interesting. Let's hope we can catch a glimpse of their history at some stage in the book. Regards, Quintingley, JJ, PS, RIP, Squawkster 1.0. Of course, we did learn that Squawkster 1.0 unfortunately and sadly died in a terrorist attack, so apologies for that. A couple in the back catalogue from Amy. Where are we? We're here. I don't know. Yeah, okay, so she's actually sent in two. First one. Maybe, yeah, okay. Hello, Hamora Mike. Here is my first official correspondence for Season 3 of HP ATB. It's great to have the pod back. Looking forward to more appearances from Cheeseman Damo and Professor Flitwick Jr., the school bastard. I loved the Mr. G references. I can definitely see Harry and Neville as Mr. G and Rodney, Mr. G's sidekick teacher. Yeah, definitely. To anyone who sort of didn't grow up in Australia in sort of, my age group, go and find somewhere Summer Heights High, because that is like the pinnacle Australian TV show. And I realize now, like, it's definitely aged, but I think, like, I was talking to a guy at work who's like 19, and I can't remember why, but I brought up Mr. G, one of the characters from Summer Heights High, and he was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Do you not know Mr. G?" He's like, "Nah, who's Mr. G?" And I'm like, "Oh, Summer Heights High." He's like, "Nah, I don't, like, I've never heard of that." And like, that show was like just such a big deal when I was a kid. It's one of the funniest TV shows ever made. It is uniquely Australian, but I think like it'll translate to international audiences. And Chris Lilly, just such an absolute hilarious guy. And I definitely feel like, again, same as like a series of unfortunate events, I feel as though, there's a bunch of things I can point to that are influences on how this book is written. I think I've talked about it a lot. There's the Captain Underpants books by Dav Pilkey, series of unfortunate events. The movie The Emperor's New Groove has a lot of similar kind of fourth wall breaking moments to these books. And then Summer Heights High at this point, 2007, was just like my favorite thing in the world. I was absolutely obsessed with it. And yeah, I highly recommend you go and watch that show. And I think I have a feeling it felt like that second chapter with Harry at Hogwarts was very much, or the third chapter was very much like trying to be Summer Heights High, which it's sort of like The Office, like it's a mockumentary. But yeah, go and watch that show. I told my boyfriend, this is Amy again, sorry. I've told my boyfriend Andrew about lots of hilarious bits from this podcast over the years, but I've never seen him laugh as much as he did when I told him about Sam being disappointed that I hadn't gone missing and the show had missed out on becoming a true crime series. Cheers, Amy, official correspondent of Harry Potter and the Boys, and her follow-up email, because I haven't done an hour post. Hello, Hamora Mike. Another great chapter of HP and the Boy ATB. I love the premise of the narrator deciding Derek has to be an orphan and get unadopted. 2 episodes ago, when you were trying to... And here, JJ, you were absolutely right. Take a listen to this. 2 episodes ago, when you were trying to think of a character from the books with last name Jones who plays Quidditch, I think you were thinking of Gwenog Jones, a minor character who plays for the Holyhead Harpies, whose Slughorn name drops in the 6th book. You and Sam have influenced me. I'm downloading the Harry Potter Lego game at the moment. Cheers, Amy, official correspondent of Harry Potter and the Boys. Yeah, the Harry Potter Lego game, again, if you like Harry Potter, go and get that game. Because I would say Hogwarts Legacy, which was a great game, by the way. I never ended up doing like a review or thoughts on it, and it could be too late, but I might still do that at some point. Hogwarts Legacy is really fun, but it's definitely like, it's like a gamer's game. Like it's mechanically, it's like for Harry Potter fans that are gamers, whereas I feel like Lego Harry Potter, if you just want to play through the Harry Potter series, just play the movies, basically, little missions and play through the movies. Get that. It's much simpler. It's much easier to play. And it's just like, it's a very good game. Very fun game. A lot of the Lego games are fun. There's like Lego Star Wars, Lego Indiana Jones, etc., etc. So yeah, highly recommend that. That's about it for this week. Unless there's any Harry Potter news. Oh, here's one. I did see this funny headline, which was on news.com.au, the trashiest news site other than the Daily Mail. And it says, it was just Harry Potter star 82 poses naked. And I was like, if you didn't, that could have got, like, anyway, no. And I'm pretty sure from the picture, it's Miriam Margolyes, and she's posed nude in a magazine. It's one of those tasteful nudes where like they're naked, but you can't see any like nips or anything like that. And then I'll end this episode with a response that, because I put this in the Discord and Lazar responded with, "Those boobs look like they need signing." Thank you guys. Glad to have the Outpost back. Please send them in. radiomikepod@gmail.com or just DM me on Insta, however you want to get it to me. That would be awesome. And if I haven't read your owl, because one thing I've realized is I suck of keeping track of people messaging about this show. So if I haven't read it, can you be like, hey, you never read out my owl, can you read it out? Can you please do that just so I can find them? It is, I would love for, more owls every week. So please send them in. Instagram, all of that. You guys bloody know. All right. Thank you so much. Goodbye, amores. This podcast was a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to check out all our other content, stay up to date at radio.mike on Instagram, and get in touch, radiomikepod@gmail.com.